Hey, welcome back guys to my forever world. On the last episode, we built this house behind me right here, and one of you guys mentioned that torii gates are not supposed to be used as an entrance to a house, and I felt like it was inappropriate of me to keep it there, so I took it down. But that gave me a great idea to build a gate for the forest here that we're going to be building today. But before we do that, we're going to be finishing the interior of this house right here. A lot of you guys gave me great suggestions on what to put in here. Some of you guys told me to build a sea pickle farm, a candle farm, but I don't think it's going to fit in here. I tested it out on my creative world and it wasn't viable. So first we're going to be building the interior first, make it all lived in and nice, build a bedroom, build a shrine maybe somewhere here, and then we can move on to the next project. So let's get started. And the interior is done. So I made a pretty simple interior here. If we head inside, you can see there's an elevated ground right here where normally in Japanese houses, there's a dirty section right here where you're supposed to take off your shoes. So let's do that real quick for immersion. And up here is basically the clean area where you're supposed to be barefoot. And at the front here, we have a little shrine that I made. And I placed down a sword and a bit of a shrine up here. There's usually a shrine in Japanese houses, so I made sure to put one and a tatami mat under it. And I pushed the trapdoors forward so we can have this curvature here and still use the banners here. And we have candles here. Since it is a traditional house, I didn't want to use lanterns anywhere. And I really like the roofing that I did here. It adds a lot of detail to the house. And on the left side here is the main bedroom. And this is also the second reason why we have the slab floors. That way I can have the bed on the floor like traditional Japanese houses. They always have their beds on the ground and I think it looks pretty good. And on the right side here we have a table where you can put your feet under the table and then just relax and look at nature right here. And before I show you guys the farm, I do want to show you guys the outside where we have this small cooking area. I was going to put it inside, but I just couldn't find a good spot to like put a cooking stove, and I would have to build a chimney for immersion, so I just opted out to making it outside, especially because this side here was pretty empty in comparison to the other spaces that we have. So that was a great way to fill up that space. And as we head inside again, I made this kind of like a ladder that goes all the way up. This is where the farm is at. So this is a stone generator. It's pretty simple. I wanted to build it here since it is really compact and I could just AFK in this spot right here whenever I want to get some stones. I can just take out my pickaxe and hold right click. And we should be getting stones or cobblestone depending on the pickaxe that I use. So we have cobblestones here and then we have some storage at the back where we can place these down. And yeah, this is pretty much done. I really like the space that we created here. It's super secluded and it feels like it's one with nature. And as we head out here, I want to show you guys how the open space is really cool, where you can kind of see the interior of the house all the way from the outside and also look at the nature behind it as well. I really like these Japanese houses where it's very airy, you know what I mean? Like you have air flowing through it. It's really cool. I enjoyed building this. Hopefully we can make more of it soon. Now that we've done the interior, we can head to the next project for today, which is this building right here. So this building right here is a farm. It houses 2 of my villagers right here, and all of these wheat is transferred into a hopper under it and goes into this chest right here. But one thing that I don't like about this building right here is, first of all, it's blocking the entrance to the forest right there. I'm gonna build like a gate to mark the entrance of the forest. And secondly, it's not an original build, which is something that I don't really like. Plus, the farm right here is right next to the housing area, and this leaf right here is definitely not the way to go on making things look good. And I want to make sure that you can actually see the farm behind it. So today we're going to be demolishing this building right here and replacing it with a giant wheat farm that spans all the way across, and making sure it's still usable by these villagers right here. So let's start by demolishing it and then clearing up the landscape right after that. Alright, now that we've cleared everything out, I've made sure to put all the materials for that windmill in here. The reason why I want to keep these is that I want to build a museum to put all of the builds that I've destroyed and then move it to a museum somewhere. That way we can preserve all of our builds in the forever world. And if you're new to my channel, this demolition marks the first time I'll be refreshing and renewing my older builds in my forever world. So the idea here is I've built a lot in my forever world, but a lot of these has been a bit outdated and old looking. So instead of creating a new world every time I feel like I've gotten better, I decided to just demolish some of the buildings that I don't really like anymore and try to replace it with something better. But I want to preserve the history, so a museum will be built somewhere and sometime soon, hopefully. So after removing the build, and the next step is to terraform the whole area, chop down all of these trees right here, and then make the terrain smoother so that we can place our farms in a nice even ground that gradually goes up into the forest. And yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I pretty much cleared out all the space that we need for today. Now, the only thing that we need to do is to fix up the terrain a bit. You can see there's a bit of jaggedness right here. So we're not going to change it up too much. I think I want to try and preserve as much of the original landscape as possible. So we're just going to clean up the weird shapes like these parts. And these like random blocks, there's always like one random dirt block for some reason. So we're just going to fix that up. And then we have like holes like this to caves. As cool as this is, it's sadly not going to be a good part of the forest. So we're just going to be covering it up. And then we have one more right here next to the Japanese house that we made. This one right here, we're probably going to keep. I'm not sure what could be good to place here. I was thinking like a quarry or something, like a small stone mining facility that can help preserve this area, but also we can use it as an entrance to a mine, right? If we have like a quarry or something. It's still up in the air right now. I'm not sure what to do here, so I'm just gonna leave this space right here. All right, I think I got all the dirt I need for this part of the build. Here we have a shulker full of grass, and then we have a couple more right here. I think that should cover up all of the grass that I need for this section right here. So let's start placing. So I tried my best to smooth things out a bit. I don't know if this is the best terraforming job, but I do notice that terraforming is probably my weakest building skill right now. I really need to learn more on how to terraform properly. But now we probably want to build the gate out first, so that way we can mark where the forest starts And where we should continue building this farm right here, I'm not sure, but I want it to be like right in front of the gate, and then we can stop the farm, and then we can build like a path going around the farm plot. So let's start building the gate. So this is what we have so far. As you can see right here, this was the previous farm that has a lot of hoppers under it for the auto collection. And I just expanded on it and removed the leaves. I haven't added any hoppers underneath these ones, but I think I'm going to do that later. But another thing that I just realized is that whenever the villagers would go up there and they would drop down a level, I think they would destroy the seeds that are under it. So I might want to transition it with a slab. I'm hoping if I put a composter somewhere around here, they wouldn't travel too far away from the composter, so they would just harvest around these areas. But yeah, that's a bit of an experiment that I have to do later on. But yeah, let me just show you guys around. As you can see right here, I started to change the flooring into the gravel and andesite flooring that I wanted to do, and it goes all the way around into the gate like I mentioned before. And then I started placing down grasses just to give that overgrown look already. And I surround these paths as well with dirt and dripstone blocks to transition between the field and the path. And then I also rotate between spruce and jungle fences just to have a bit more variety as well in the textures. And on the left wheat field right here, since we don't have any villagers here, we don't have to actually think about the fences covering the areas where the villagers could actually hop out, like this section right here. That would probably be bad for villagers. But on the right side right here, since we have villagers, I have to consider that, as well as trying to hide water sources underneath. So what I had before is, let me show you real quick. I have these bamboo trapdoors, and then I place a water source underneath it. But I have to do that for all of the section up here as well. That way when the villagers do actually harvest them, they would regrow so much faster. But yeah, everything here in my base is eventually going to be updated to this level of detail and texturing. I'm hoping that each episode I can do a tiny project where I can fix a part of my base, and I hope you guys would enjoy that. So let's start making the rest of the forest. Done, but I want to take my horse when you walk through the forest for the first time, so let's do that right now. So let's just go up here, and the wheat field is finally fully grown, which is super nice. We have some outliers right here, a few of them hasn't grown out, and then you can see that I put in some tall grasses in between just to give that variety in terms of color as well, so not everything is to a point of interest for your eyes to kind of like see. Instead of just like you zoning out on the wheat field, since it is all just yellow, you can kind of see like interesting areas on the wheat field as well. I might want to put like a scarecrow or something, but I don't know if it's going to be too overwhelming in this area. since there is a lot of things going on here. So yeah, let's just leave it at this for now, and then we can figure that out later on. And then for some reason, these two villagers has been next to each other for the past few days that I've been working on this project. I don't know why. It might be that this villager right here doesn't have a job, so I need to fix that as well. Maybe put a composter somewhere down here and hide it. And before we head into the forest, I want to expand more on what I want to do here. I marked out the area that I want to build out different roads branching off, and we have this one right here as well, going maybe that way or upwards. I'm not too sure right now, but there's going to be plans to connect these roads. But this one right here, I think I want to connect it all the way there to the clay farm that I have right here, but I'm not too sure how I want to shape the road. That's another project for the future. We can just head inside right here. The trees are the same trees that I did for the Japanese house. I made a few more varieties, as you can see right here. I also built out some stones. There's about 15 trees, I think, and this took like 5 to 6 hours of just placing the blocks, not including the material gathering. That just took quite a while. So yeah, I love these trees. I wasn't so sure about it when I first made them, but it's growing on me right now. But if we look at it from the front right here, I love that the trees are kind of like peeking from behind it. And it's really noticeable when you kind of fly over right here. Let me show you guys real quick. Like if you get to this angle right here, like those trees popping up at the back, I really like that. I think that adds a lot of character to the build. So if we head into this forest right here, I think I need to transition this a bit better because it kind of cuts off too abruptly. Maybe put in some mud packs right over here and there just to have that transition. And as we head in here, we can see that the forest is pretty full when you look left to right, but of course there's going to be a lot of other trees at the back. Even this side right here needs to be filled, but overall I think it's a good progress for this episode right here. And then as we head up here, it's pretty much the same, but I just added more grass and more bushes. Oh, this is gonna be a problem. Mobs do spawn here, and I don't want to put lights around this area because I kind of like the darkness that it has, like the shadows that the trees create. So I don't know how to figure this out. Maybe you guys know how to figure this out, because I do like the shadows that the tree canopies give, but I don't want mobs to spawn, especially when creepers come here. I would really like to avoid that. So yeah, do let me know if you know how to avoid these. And as always, we have the tradition of reading a comment from last week's video. And right here we have DVDM857. They said, I was wondering what type of tree are yours based on? I also have an Asian inspired area in my world, and I was looking for something similar to add over there. These trees right here, I believe they're Japanese maple trees. I think I based it off that, especially the red ones at the back right there, the red trees at the Japanese house. But these ones, I think they are Japanese maple trees. I'm honestly not too sure, but if you guys know what it is, correct me on that. But I do take inspiration from Ghost of Tsushima, since I was playing it in between making videos. I finished the game by now, but it was a huge inspiration for this area as well. So I'm not too sure what these trees are. But what really differentiates them from like Western trees typically is how they kind of like arch to the side a bit, and then they have this like canopy on each side. That's how I usually make them. It's just to make a curve at the bottom and then build out canopies. And I kind of view them like a big bonsai tree, which I might be wrong on this. I haven't done any research on this, but it kind of looks like that. So that was the look I'm going for. So basically just a giant bonsai tree. But yeah, that's it for this area right here. On next week's episode, I think we're going to be building out on the industrial section right here. Right here we have to do a bit of terraforming so we can build out different factories in this area. I do have a factory in mind that I want to build in the same style as this. So if you guys like the Cyberpunk Japanese build, you guys are going to be excited for this next build that I'm doing. But yeah, that's it for today. If you have any questions or thoughts on my videos, do leave a comment. I read and reply to all of them. So feel free to reach out to me on the comment section. And with that being said, I'll see you next week. Bye for now.